Hello crafty friends, welcome to this pattern paper scraps video. So I've decided today to work with the paper scraps that we used in our last pattern paper video, and I'm going to create with them a collage masterboard, and then we'll chop that up and use that on the front of our cards. So here we have just a regular piece of smooth white card and some scraps, and this is Liquitex matte gel medium, which is a really nice glue for collaging. Mine's a bit old now, so it's a bit slightly thicker than it normally would be. So all I'm going to do is brush this onto my card and then take some scraps and stick them onto my card, mixing and matching, having torn edges, overlapping. As I said, this medium is a little bit thick, so I'm going to water it down just by dipping my brush in some water and then picking up and mixing round, and that should thin it out. And I'm going over all my scraps, and this will seal them a bit and make sure they stay stuck down. I'm also going in with some large bits to start with to cover as much of the background as possible, and then I can cover these in smaller bits. I'm also trying not to stick my paper down to my glass mat, so I'm giving it a wipe every so often. Now these papers, some of them anyway, or maybe all of them, are double-sided, so I might throw in the occasional other side. Ordinarily, I would let this dry on its own for a good few hours, but because I'm filming a video, I'm going to blast it with my hairdryer. Now, you could leave your masterboard like this, but please excuse the banging, the neighbours are having some work done. I'm going to spray it on some white acrylic paint. Just get that loaded up. I don't want too much because I don't want to cover everything up. Pouring everything together with a layer of white paint. This will catch the edges and highlight them. But it'll kind of break up the separate pieces and bring them together as one. Again, I shall dry this with my hairdryer. For my next stage, I'm going to do some stenciling with Crafters acrylic paint. This is Cherry Blossom Pink, and I'm going to add it through a stencil using a sponge applicator. The trick with this is not to overload your sponge, just add a little bit of paint at a time, and then it shouldn't seep under your stencil. So we're just adding a little blush of pink in this geometric pattern, and I chose this one because we've got grids and stripes already. I thought a little bit of extra geometric would be nice. If you want your acrylic paint to be more opaque, just let the first layer dry, then stencil over the top again with another layer. And I'm going to pop that sponge in some water, and then I'll rinse it out later. And we'll dry that again. And now I've got a grungy ticket stamp, and I'm going to stamp it in Vintage Photo. So I'm going to bring some of this brown to the foreground. I'm not bothered about getting perfect impressions. This is just a bit of visual texture. But what I do want is for it to be parallel to the edges of the paper, parallel to these lines, like this, and the grid. I do like to have straight lines either vertically or horizontally. Just makes sense to the eye and the brain, I think. I am going to do some multiple generation stamping, so stamp once, twice, maybe 3 times without re-inking, just to get different intensities. I think that's probably getting on for enough. and we'll dry that ink because it's a pigment ink and it might take a while to dry. It's also water reactive, so if I were to put anything wet on top of this now, that might move, but that's okay because that might be the look you want. In fact, just to see what it looks like, I'm going to mist this area, and that's made that ink diffuse a bit and run around. Just for a bit of shimmer and shine, I'm going to spatter on some of this dark gold, and then I'm going to give it a really good dry before we do any die cutting. Now it's time to do some die cutting. I've got all my ticket dies here, and I'm going to pop these on and run this through my Gemini electronic die cutting machine. And I'm going to use that one because it will take A4. Also, it's a little bit more powerful, applies a bit more pressure, and it will cut through all the different layers on here really well. Right, I've die cut all my tickets out and I rather like the way they look, a bit of shabby chic. I've also got some stitched rectangle panels that I've cut from linen textured cardstock for a bit of a luxurious feel. And I'm basically just going to add these in pleasing arrangements. I've got my grid here for rule of thirds, and I'm going to take this and pop it over here, which is over the intersection. So if I put this card panel on a card blank, and then this over here, you can see this ticket is sitting on this line here, this third line. So now I've got this strip of tickets. Just add some high-tack glue to the back. We could put that on a third line. Just stretches just over. With this one, I think I'm going to go for a bit of a diagonal design. So I might have a ticket there, some more there, and a ticket up there, but I think we'll pop it so it's captured within that top third. Have that overlapping it, and I will put a little bit of something underneath there just to support that bit of ticket. I can't remember what I was going to put up the top, but maybe this one, or yeah, that one. So that one's about in the middle. We'll have some supporting tickets coming in from the side. This one, I think we might just have a line of tickets coming in from the right hand side. And again, I think these ones can come in from the left. With this one, I think I'm just gonna have a little cluster. So there we have, I think 8, which way up is that one going to go? Can't remember. I think we've got 8 card fronts there, and I'm going to stick these on card blanks and then think about a sentiment and an embellishment. Right, I've selected a bunch of foliage dies and I'm going to cut them from this pearl gold cardstock. This is from Sizzix and it's gold, not dissimilar in tone to the yellow paper that I used. But it's got a bit of a sheen, a shimmery sheen to it, which I think will look quite nice against the colours and the white. So I'm going to cut those out. Okay, I've cut everything, but what I'm going to do now is tear some vellum into different size rectangles and strips. And I'm going to use this behind my die cuts just to give them a little bit of something to separate them from the tickets. I often die cut this kind of thing, but I thought today I'd just take some paper and tear it, give it a bit of a raggedy edge, just for something different. And you can get nice straight raggedy edges, if you know what I mean, if you use a ruler, or you can just go freestyle and go for some slightly wonkier raggedy edges. You can keep some of the edges perfectly straight if you like, just for, again, a bit of variation, a bit of difference. And now I'm going to stick everything together. I put some glue on my mat and I'm going to pick it out with my glue dotter. If you want to know how to make a glue dotter, there is a video linked in this video's description. So that can sit on there like that. And to adhere the vellum, I'm just going to add some dots of glue behind the leafy thing. This might show through, but it's okay because this is shabby chic. For my sentiments, I'm going to use this scripty handwritten type font from Clearly Besotted. They're called Sweet Little Sentiments. And I'm going to use black just to draw the eye. And there you go, 8 cards made from scraps of pattern paper. We created a masterboard, die cut from it, added some vellum, added some gold pearlized die cut shapes and a stamp. I think this is a really lovely way to use up your scraps of pattern paper. You can create a whole new look just by tearing them up, sticking them down and adding a bit of paint and ink on top. Right, I hope you've enjoyed today's video and it's given you some ideas of things you can do with your pattern paper scraps. If it has, do let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you back here very soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.